Arroyo. It's now time to announce tonight's starting lineup for the visiting Toronto FC2. The goalkeeper, number 28, Caleb Patterson-Sua. Defender number 36, Tim Kubel. Defender number 35, Lars Eckenroth. Defender number 49, Robert Moskovic. Defender number 38, Kyle Bjornathan. Midfielder number 27, Liam Fraser. Midfielder number 55, Aiden Daniel. Midfielder number 11, John Vaquero. Midfielder number 50, Matt Sergel. At forward number 46, Subasa Endo. And at forward number 22, Jordan Hamilton. The head coach for Toronto FC2 is Mr. Michael Rabasco. And tonight, starting for your New York Red Bulls 2, the goalkeeper number 18, Ryan Mera. Defender number 40, Nico De Vera. Defender number 3, Kevin Collins. Defender number 47, Hassan Ndom. Defender number 41, Ethan Cutler. Midfielder number 80, Chris Lema. Midfielder number 36, Andrew Tenari. Midfielder number 89, Jose Aguinaga. At forward number 42, Brian White. Forward number 16, Anatola Bong. And at forward number 9, Andreas
Eastern Conference rivals face off in USL action on ESPN Plus as New York Red Bulls 2 look to return to winning ways at home and solidify their place in the playoffs. New York Red Bulls 2 and Toronto FC 2 make their way to the field at MSU Soccer Park in Montclair, New Jersey for this USL matchup. I'm David Goss, joined by Heath Pierce for this broadcast. New York Red Bulls 2 coming off a 3-0 loss on the road against India 11, a must-win game in their second to last home game before they leave on a 4-game road stand. On the flip side for Toronto FC 2, a very experienced squad coming in today, showing that they are not bottom of the Eastern Conference in this one. For New York Red Bulls 2, into a big matchup, and they will look to try and slow down Jordan Hamilton, the star player for Toronto FC 2, the leading scorer. Hamilton's had a big year both in the USL and in MLS. 5 goals in USL action, 2 in 9 starts in MLS action. The young Canadian international trying to show why he's one of the brightest stars up north of the border. And then on the flip side for New York Red Bulls 2, into this matchup, they will look to Andrew Tenari to lead this team, leads the team in minutes, has been the captain throughout the season, has an experienced squad around him on that front line in Brian White, Anatole Abong, and Jose Aguinaga to feed. It'll be interesting to see how he plays, especially going up against Liam Fraser, the captain of Toronto FC 2 in this one. It should be a good matchup between these two teams. New York Red Bulls 2, the highest scoring team in USL, looking to continue their successful home record so far in 2018. We'll be back in just a moment with all your first half action here on ESPN Plus.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
Two sets of anthems played as these Canadian and American rivals face off here in what's been a big week for the national teams, but for these two clubs who are helping create those players, this is the lineup we see today. Experiencing goal and Cale Patterson, Sewell, Robert Boscovich, the academy player, and Lars Eckenrode start at center back. Aiden Daniels and Jan Baccaro, the first-round draft pick in the MLS Super Draft, in midfield alongside Liam Fraser, who will wear the captain's armband, and Tsubasa Endo up top alongside our star man, Jordan Hamilton. Let's take a look for the New York Red Bulls too. Almost the exact same lineup as last week, not something Coach Wolenek can say very often. He does insert Ryan Mira in goal. This is 4th USL start of the year, 3 starts in MLS action. Andrew Tenari and Chris Lima in midfield, and then you look at the attack. Andreas Ivan, Anatola Bong, and Brian White up top. Coach Wolenek, at times throughout this season, hasn't had a full complement of players on the bench, but today he's got a deep one. Evan Loro on the bench alongside leading scorer Armando Moreno, leading assist man in the league, Jared Stroud. And on the flip side, Michael Rabaska, in just his first 2 months as a head coach, coming in to TFC2. He's already got a shock road win in a 4-1 win against Louisville, trying to do the same here today at MSU Soccer Park. Should be a good one for us as the clouds are starting to separate. We've got our head officials, JJ Blinsky, ready to get us going. Joe Zawatowski and Richard Zayas, his assistant referees, and Luis Oroya. The 4th official for this one is New York Red Bulls 2 in their penultimate home game of the season, trying to do damage to keep themselves steady in the playoffs. Just sitting in 7th place atop that line, have a chance to jump over Bethlehem Steel with a win here today, using these games in hand as they move along into what will be a 4-game road streak to close it out. As I said, an experienced lineup for Toronto FC2 to call on. Heath, when you look at this TFC2 squad, a lot of players who have played MLS action, international action, haven't played consistently with this USL squad. What's your expectation for a team like that?
Look, regardless of what the results have been, they've got an experienced squad. And because they haven't gotten the results, because there isn't a ton to play for besides personal pride, this is going to be a difficult game. It's going to be a team that's playing pretty freely, so I expect them to come out and really, really put Red Bulls 2 under pressure. Liam
Fraser with that long ball off the top. New York Red Bulls 2 conceded in the first 2 minutes in their last game on the road against Indy 11, a 3-0 loss in Indianapolis last Thursday. They had the weekend off. On the flip side, TFC2, a 4-3 loss to their Canadian rivals, Ottawa. Early start here. Aginaga gets into the box, and his shot goes wide. New York Red Bulls 2 in their home red tops with red shorts. TFC2 in the all-white kit. And you see here, Heath, a quick start for New York Red Bulls 2.
Yeah, it's one of those opportunities that I thought I was going to have to go back on my word of it being a difficult match. A great counterattack to start. Obviously, they would have wanted to get a little bit more out of that, but attacking with numbers, that willingness to get in the box, some dynamic movement from the start, I think great little opening minute there.
Anatola Bong starting up top in this one. So Brian White, who's played the bulk of the minutes at center forward, out on the left side. You see him there winning that header. A little bit more size to this New York Red Bull 2 team. Ryan Mira, the experience in goal. And Dom up high to his Cameroonian teammate, Abong. And now Devera with the ball down the wing. Brian White on the charge, trying to get there first. Beautiful slide tackle, though, made in the end by Boskovic. Robert Boskovic, one of the many TFC Academy players in this TFC2 squad. First corner kick of the game coming up. It'll be Tenari to take. Well, right-footed service to the top of the box. Devera's clip ball knocked away. Pressure put on here by TFC2. Long switch to the field, handled by Cutler. His touch is too long, and now Hamilton can start the attack. Back to the feet of Hamilton. He clips the shot, but it goes over the top. Almost a little too cute there from Cutler, Heath, in giving that ball back over, allowing TFC2 to counter.
Yeah, and that's the type of situation you see here. Great little counterattack. Actually well done from the Red Bulls, too, to mitigate the risk when they're attacking with numbers, able to allow some time for the defenders to get back and recover. But like you said, a little bit too cute there. Sometimes you want to make sure you bring those set pieces or those set plays to a conclusion, because with each little pass and each risk that you take, the risk gets a little bit higher and higher for a counterattack. You start to have those attacking players cheating forward a little bit, saying, if we can bait on this and we can win this, we can make something of it, and it's exactly what happened there.
My apologies. It was Lima with the chest down there as Cutler made the 60-yard recovery run. Don't want to put the blame on the wrong guy. Liam Frazier here, setting up this one. Frazier, one of the bright stars of the Toronto FC franchise. Youth Canadian international. Looks to be training to fill in or play alongside Michael Bradley at some point. But got the bulk of his experience here with Toronto FC2 throughout his young career. New York Red Bulls to attack down the wing. Started 7 games for TFC2 their first year, 16 games in 2016 and 17 games last year. And now in MLS action has made 6 starts this year, so an example for TFC of how they want their players to rise through the system.
Yeah, when you are at a certain age, you want to be getting games consistently no matter what that age is. But if you can continue to get games at a higher and higher level, or start to increase the amount of games you're playing at a higher competition, training with better competition, it's only going to ultimately make you a better player. And it's also going to give the coaching staff an opportunity to evaluate you and really see how far they can push you and kind of what those next development steps are, and if you're capable of doing that within their system.
If you're a player like Liam Frazier, you've played with Michael Bradley, you've been in training sessions with him. If you're a young player who plays the same position, what do you think that experience is like?
It's an incredible experience.
Mira here almost gets caught, and he clears it away.
I feel like Mara might feel differently and tell you that he did that calmly.
Brian White into the feet of Lima. Lima pushes it wide for Andreas Ivan, a young Romanian new to the New York Red Bulls family. His cross is blocked. Headed away there by Boskovic. Played back into the path now. As New York looks to try and break through this TFC backline. Space here to shoot, and it goes wide.
As I was saying before with Michael Bradley, you know, it used to be where young players would only have the first team or not the team, right? I know we harp on this a lot, but having an opportunity now to get games like this, play a few first-team games, train with better players on a regular basis, is kind of the perfect system to develop guys, right? Before you had nowhere to go, so if you weren't playing, you were just sitting on the bench or not on the roster. But now you're training with good players, you're getting a few games there, and you're getting matches here at a very high level.
Frazier slides that one across to Baquero. Jan Baquero, son of the famous Barcelona great, trying to make his name here in the U.S. Herman Trophy winner at Wake Forest. High draft pick, but still looking to settle in at the professional level. A good opportunity here against stiff competition to show what he's capable of. For Baquero, this his 5th start in USL play. Abong battling, keeps possession. White back across the middle for Lima. Cutler and Devera at the fullbacks will give that width throughout this game. Ivan gets to the end line, gets the crossaway, still alive. And White can't get enough of a touch on it to put it away.
And just as we saw there in the first minute, getting up that line and whipping it in, and that willingness from Abong to be able to attack that near post, opens up that space to the back post. Should have done better with it. He obviously knows that, doesn't get clean contact, but we should be looking at a 1-0 situation right now.
Kyle Bjornthen, the second-year pro out of University of Seattle, getting beat there by Ivan. Devera winning possession back. Frazier will go back towards his own goal, pushed by Boskovic. You've seen Ivan now in these first 7-8 minutes put his head down, try and get to that end line consistently. If you're a fullback, how do you react to a player like that attacking you?
I mean, it's difficult, right? You're scrapping for inches, and for a guy like him who's willing to make that near post run, he's just looking to get a foot on it and redirect it. He's not looking to get clean contact. And when you have somebody attacking a space where the space is so small, it's so hard to defend. All you can do is try to get him off balance or keep him from getting into that space. But once you attack into that space with that much tempo and that much energy, it's extremely difficult to defend.
Daniels down the line. Serbol keeps possession. Kubel now charging in. He has it touched away by Tenari. Kubel now the starting right back out of Louisville. Still in possession, keeps it for Frazier. And that's where Frazier's at his most comfortable. Chance to pick his head up from deep. Either try and find that long switch or cycle possession through for his team. We'll see Frazier sitting right around that midfield circle all game. Hamilton called offside on that one. Jordan Hamilton, as we said off the top of the show, leading this team in goals with 5 on the season and just now his 8th appearance. Went the full 90 against Ottawa last week. He's got 9 starts and 13 appearances in MLS action, 2 goals and 1 assist. Scored the first ever goal in TFC2 history in 2015 as Yvonne fizzes that one into the near post. Taken by Patterson Sewell. Opening 10 minutes here, Heath. An active start for New York Red Bulls too. We've seen the gaps that they've left, but you can see them trying to push the attack.
Absolutely. It seems like they've settled in pretty well, at least on the ball going forward. They're taking some risks. There is some dynamic movement. Anytime you have a striker like Ebong who's up top, who's willing to do some of that dirty work early on, it's going to open up that space underneath, as well as make it difficult for the midfield and defensive lines of TFC2 to be able to, you know, who goes where, who's moving where, who's covering where, and it starts to open up these gaps in the team. So a decent little start, but looking to see if it turns into something here.
White here pinching in field. Picks up possession. Cutler looking for that early ball in. For Toronto FC2. We've talked about it. The only team already eliminated from playoff action, sitting at 3-20-3 on the season. Laurent Guyot, the head coach, leaving for a head coaching job in Belgium, leading to Rabaska taking over here midway through the season. He's known Greg Vanny for over 20 years. And now Heath Rabaska, obviously not going to turn them around into a playoff team, but trying to get that feeling of winning for these young players, try and get some competitive minutes.
Yeah, and like we've talked about before, when anytime a team is on a difficult run or a difficult streak, it tends to, at a certain point, turn into a benefit where they can play freely. They don't feel the pressure anymore, especially when you've been eliminated. So if you're a coach coming in, it's actually the perfect time to be able to start to build a foundation, to sort of make your mark, and also empower the players to build that confidence back up again and truly rebuild a foundation in the team.
Pollitt's heading it back to his own goalkeeper here. And what's interesting about Rabaska is he joined Toronto FC, and he was the head of what they originally called the Cognitive Development Department and then became called the High Performance Department. But a lot of psychological things, trying to help players get more comfortable, find their peak performance. As Anatola Bong's in on goal here, he's got space, and he puts it in. Anatola Bong is back. A good clean first touch. He had to beat a few players, and he gets the opener here in the 12th minute.
And he's been active from the start, and that first touch, that gap closed a little bit. It seemed like they might be able to recover, but puts enough pace on it to jam that in, punches it in. And, you know, again, we talk about that willingness. You see here that willingness to go behind that back line. Great first touch. Second touch gets away from him, but is able to redirect it past the goalkeeper and the defender. But, you know, a lot of this, I look back at the first minute of the match, his willingness to get into the box, his dynamic movements from the start. Sometimes it takes a while for a striker to make those runs in the box, to feel part of the game. But when you have that willingness and that commitment to make the run in the first minute to the near post, you know that if you put somebody in a good spot that's in good form, good things can happen. And right now, we're looking at a 1-0 lead to New York Red Bulls 2.
Anatola Bong, his first goal since returning for New York Red Bulls 2. After taking over 2 years off away from the club, Anatola Bong's been close a couple times this season. Had a goal called back for an offside that he gave the full celebration on, looked to be in, had a penalty kick saved as well. And finally gets the breakthrough here to open up scoring. The opposite, the way it was in Indianapolis when New York Red Bulls 2 gave up the early goal and trailed throughout the game. And Heath, that's not the first time we've seen this TFC2 team playing with a high line. There seems to be space to play that ball in behind those center backs in front of Caleb Patterson-Sewell.
Again, like we talked about already, with Abong's dynamic movement, when you're willing to make those diagonal runs behind the back line, suddenly that back line drops a little bit, and now you have space underneath. As soon as they start to pinch on that space underneath that they're trying to stop, you start to make those runs in behind. And as long as you can keep that defensive line guessing between those attacking players, it's difficult to adjust. Some of the guys decide they want to hold the line high, the other guys are dropping off, and that's where you start to find those gaps in the team. And in that situation there, a high line, a great ball, first of all. Secondly, the run is perfect, and then they get punished that way.
Abong earning a foul. Red Bulls 2 now restart in a battle, though, with Robert Boskovic. You can hear the crowd yelling for a foul there. Looks like it's going to be a good 1v1 battle throughout this game between those two. Lars Eckenrode. That one gets deflected. Lars Eckenrode, the other starting center back. Two young players there. They're going to have to try and deal with Anatol Abong this evening. Coach Wolonex had the formula here at home for New York Red Bulls 2. 5-1-2 at home on the season, but they have yet to win a game on the road, and they're about to go on a 4-game road stand, which will almost close out the entire season. So this is a must-win for New York Red Bulls 2. Ivan lets that one run. And Ivan now in an offside position. Ivan, his second appearance for Red Bulls 2, got 58 minutes in the start at Indy 11 last week. Of course, has already played a number of times for New York Red Bulls in MLS action. Caleb Patterson-Sewell, former New York Red Bull. Caleb Patterson-Sewell. Technically traded this offseason, his rights, for a 4th-round pick from New York Red Bulls to TFC2, although he hasn't played or been a part of New York Red Bulls since 2008. Heath, I know that irks you very much right now.
Yeah.
I could trade for your rights if you want me to. I just don't know if you'll be able to push into my lineup.
Look, I'm not looking to get games. Just want you to have my rights.
Okay, that's fair. I'll try and work something out. I'll see if I have any allocation money.
It won't take much. I don't even think.
But it'll take something.
I don't think it'll even take money. Just a good offer.
Well, Patterson-Sewell, by the way, who hasn't played or been a part of New York Red Bulls in 10 years, got traded for a 4th-round Super Draft pick. Jared Stroud and Jose Aguinaga were both 4th-round Super Draft picks for New York Red Bulls New York Red Bulls this year. Stroud currently tied for the assist lead in the entire USL, and Aguinaga has 5 goals over the last 6 weeks. So it's not nothing, a 4th-round pick, if you can get it for a guy who you are in no way going to have on your roster. It's pretty good business.
Well, look, I think for a 4th-round pick now, because of the way the structures are being built, is that you still have time to develop these players.
Right.
So a 4th-round pick isn't an all or nothing. It's a let's try to develop them. Let's see what we can do with this 4th-round pick. Let's put it on us to make them, or at least put them in a position to develop and become a better player.
And you see that a lot right now with New York Red Bulls too, in that as Hamilton goes down, no call made. They're not the highest in academy minutes played. A lot of these players playing college and then coming to New York Red Bulls too, but Florian Velo, Aaron Long, Vincent Bezecourt, those players have become good players at the MLS level. Ethan Cutler, another example this year, as Ivan's dragged down, and that'll be a free kick for New York Red Bulls 2 in a dangerous position, conceded there by Tsubasa Endo.
You know, and uniquely on that point, there is no perfect way up the soccer ladder in the United States right now, and every player has to find kind of his own journey that way, and we're seeing it a number of different ways on how they're getting there. And that's the uniqueness of that 4th-round draft pick is, you know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, that was a lot harder to become something because of just the prejudgment that came with it. Now you have a chance to prove yourself in a number of different ways, a number of different leagues and situations.
Ivan here to take his shot. Sewell makes the save. Patterson-Sewell punching that one wide. Pretty simple save, you'd have to say, in the end.
Yeah. It's a highlight save, though. He made it into one.
Jim Edmonds style,
Yeah.
slowing down so you can get the dive in. We've seen Yvonne, though, drop his toe and hit some real rockets so far in his time here in the United States. So you know that he's capable of it from that position. Now the free kick will go back in favor of Toronto FC.
Yeah, and anytime you're facing a good free kick taker like this hit, first thing you want to do is make sure you're in the position. Whether he over-exaggerates or not, he's putting his body in the way to make sure that he at least gets clean contact with it.
So New York Red Bulls, too, come out. High intensity, Heath. We see a number of chances, one within 30 seconds from Aginaga, a goal in the 12th minute from Abong. Now, how do they handle these next 5 minutes?
This is where
Aginaga forces the turnover. Abong now to some dangerous space again, and he turns it over.
Again, and just the way that play started into the attack is, if you realize that that high press is working and you're in good positions to win that ball higher up the pitch, you're going to keep doing that. And I think that's the main thing, is knowing as a unit, as a group, 10, 11 players, when to drop, when to step to make sure that there's no gaps in the team. Obviously, it's work to press that line higher up the field. We see now here again, another turnover in that final third is exactly where they want to win the ball instead of having to build up out of the back.
Yvonne into the feet of White. Early ball for Abong, and it's pushed away for a corner kick. Robert Boskovic has had an active first half, to say the least. As you look at the replay here, Yvonne turning out of some pressure and finding the ball. It'll be Tenari to take the corner kick now. There are 2 soccer balls on the field. Now we're ready to go. Tenari floats this one to the top of the box. No one there. Heath, you mentioned the last corner kick, knowing what you want to do. That one didn't end in a dangerous play for Toronto FC, but it did not end in a dangerous play for New York Red Bulls too.
Exactly. If I'm in that situation, I'm sort of weighing the risks. I'm remembering what that last situation turned into. I remember that I had to run back 70 yards to make that play. So if I'm in that situation, I'm hitting that diagonal ball hoping for the best, but ultimately bringing this attack to a conclusion because I know how dangerous it is and how much teams like to bait you on those set-piece situations where everybody sort of takes a deep breath and lets off the pedal a little bit. Leaves you vulnerable.
Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit www.selectsportsamerica.com. Receive free shipping on orders over $50. Lima stepping in there. Well handled, though, and one back by Matt Searbull. Now White trying to restart the attack. New York Red Bulls still a lot of interchanging pieces right now in that attack. 4 or 5 guys who seem to be comfortable floating in to the middle of the field or playing out on the wing. Right now it seems to have TFC2 a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, and another situation to give Abong some more credit is that you see there in a turnover situation, when a player scores a goal and he's a streaky striker, usually they want to get the ball and run at him every time. We saw a few times where the ball gets away from him where he tries a little bit too much, but in that situation there, simply lays the ball off and gets back up top. And I think that becomes a very difficult thing to defend against. And it seems like it's such an easy task, but when you're TFC2 and a guy comes and checks back and plays it simply back, you now have to go all the way back to your back line again. And the next time that he checks off of you, you might not follow him. And that's the opportunity for him to turn upfield, face the field, and start to run at players. Just constantly changing up your game, iterating on your game so the defense is always guessing.
On the flip side, Jordan Hamilton playing that same center forward role. Hasn't had the touches so far that Abong's had. As now TFC2 show quality ball movement. Hamilton into the channel, looks for the cross, wide open and put in for the equalizer. As the flag stays down, Tsubasa Endo ties this one up at 1-1.
Just as you were saying with Jordan Hamilton not getting involved, gets a clever ball behind the back line on exactly where he wants it. Obviously a tough angle. Can't tell you whether he was shooting or crossing quite yet, but let's have a look here.
That's a
Seems
cross.
like he's crossing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
puts it
give him the
across. And again,
credit.
I'm giving him credit. I spent some time with that guy recently. He is a quality player, knows the game well, but he great little cut across. And again, it's those little moments that we're looking at there where the New York Red Bulls too have been pretty dominant throughout. They were the first team to settle into this game, win up 1-0, but you let off for one moment like that, and like you talked about before the match, there's so much quality on the field that they will punish you. So you have to respect them on all levels, even if you're winning or controlling the tempo of the game.
Toronto FC 2 goal scored by number 46.
Tsubasa Endo gets the goal.
Number 22, Jordan Hamilton, in the 23rd minute.
Endo, a tough year for him.
23rd minute.
Was a central part of the Toronto FC setup in 2016, started 15 games in MLS. In 2017, 13 starts for TFC2, 3 starts for Toronto FC. And then he went without a club here in 2018 until July, which he signed back up with TFC2, and this now his 7th start and first goal since returning. Hamilton into the same dangerous channel. He puts that shot over. But we've got 2 reclamation projects basically on either end, Abong and Endo getting an early goal here.
Yeah, and you're starting to see already that confidence lift a little bit. I thought that might be because the pressure was off early in the game. It took TFC2 a little bit longer to settle into the match, but, you know, it takes one moment. Jordan Hamilton scores. Now they're back in it, and you're starting to see that connection a little bit and that willingness to get forward. You're starting to see the quality come out of those players even in their passing behind the back line. Now it's going to be up to the New York Red Bulls, too, to see how they respond, if they stay calm or if they get a little bit flustered from this situation.
New York Red Bulls 2 scoring the 12th. Just about 10 minutes of a lead. TFC2 equalizes it. David Goss and Heath Pierce on the call for you on ESPN Plus. Penultimate home game for New York Red Bulls 2. Brian White able to keep possession for New York. Looking for what is a vital 3 points before they head on the road for 4 straight in this one. An interesting lineup for both teams, a mix of MLS and USL squads, as coming out of the international break, a lot of players haven't played for about a week and a half, so an opportunity to get a player like Jordan Hamilton and Liam Frazier some minutes, as well as Ryan Mira. Interception here by De Vera. Good work from Serbil to try and keep him under control, but De Vera's still on the ball. And he earns a free kick now in a dangerous area. You gotta like that left back pushing forward and making things happen.
At first I was like, what is he doing? Going against 2 guys, he's not going to get around the corner there, but does just enough to shift his body weight to get the defenders to bite and rounds the corner on him. Fantastic little play there. And then even more clever to take that foul when you have quality players who can whip in that ball and put you in a dangerous goal-scoring position.
De Vera, a 2nd-round draft pick out of Akron this year for New York Red Bulls. This now his 21st start as this one's floated in. Beccaro with the 2nd header. And now Endo and Hamilton collide in a dangerous area. Tenari's through ball is blocked away. TFC2 very fortunate there. It's there at the last moment. Lars Eckenrode getting in the way. New York Red Bulls 2 trying to turn the screws here. Get that lead back. Shot hit with some power straight into the arms of Patterson Sewell. New York Red Bulls 2 playing right there in zone 14. Aginaga turns on goal, looking in for a Bongo's offside. Flag up there, beautiful finish. Credit to him, but Heath, there are moments here with TFC2. You talk about not playing with pressure, but they seem to be a little bit casual in their own third against a team that you know is going to press you.
Absolutely, and there's a clever little ball there into that pocket and then looks up and slots that through. But again, like you said, they're flirting with disaster there. And again, you start to look at you start to identify what some of these probably regular issues have been. The young back line, no one's leading that back line, playing a little bit of that trap too much, not being able to make decisions quick enough, and the play happens around them fast or too fast for them to make decisions. Obviously, that ball's offside, but you play that line a little bit better, and he's in alone with the goalie, and the great finish like that, you're up 2-1.
Endo now charging forward. His cross is blocked. First corner kick of the game coming up here for Toronto FC2. TFC2 looking for what would be a big win against New York Red Bulls 2. They lost to Ottawa and Atlanta United 2 in their last 2 games, but a 4-1 win at Louisville 3 games ago. Endom wins the first header. Second chance coming. Daniels can't get good contact with it. And now Frazier looking for some space. Finds a teammate's feet. The touch is too long, and now New York out and running. Bong being pursued by Daniels. He holds up play. TFC2 do a good job to recover. This one snuck in for Brian White. Patterson Sewell gets enough to it. New York Red Bulls 2 not slowing down now. White looking for a bong, and it's intercepted. And Pollard stepping forward. Hamilton gets in front of him. Still red ball. And now Toronto FC play out of it. And TFC2 have an opening. Hamilton switching the field on a dime for Endo. This touch a little long. Heath, a lot of gaps for both sides right now in the attack. Frazier with the switch of the field. Daniels takes it on the short hop. And Tavares, that gives him enough space to get in.
And you could tell there immediately, Politz overcommits, opens up a gap for a 3-on-2 or 4-on-3. Does a great job to recover quickly, but it's one of those situations where you've got to know, I'm going to hold up play here, keep him from turning, keep him from spinning out. Was able to recover in time, but like you said, there are some holes, there's some individual decision-making that could prove costly if they're not able to tighten up and eliminate those errors.
And I complimented how they recovered as a team. They then fell asleep, though. Everyone got back, and then no one really stepped to the ball as Kubel earns a free kick here. Fortunate a long touch from him, but gets knocked down at the end of that play. And so dead ball coming here for Toronto FC2. TFC2 after this one head on the road against league leaders FC Cincinnati, and then go down to Pennsylvania for a match against Bethlehem Steel FC. That one blocked by Tenari, but eventually going out off of Serbal. So not an easy road to close out for TFC2, and then after all of that, they head home to play Ottawa once again, an all-Canadian affair. Bong with a number of white jerseys around him. He's able to earn a throw-in again for his team.
You know, for a team that hasn't been good on the road this year, again with a new manager in, it seems like the perfect breeding ground to be able to challenge your players and say, prove to me why you should be here for the rest of the year or next season, or prove to me why you're too good to play right here. Prove to me something. It's an opportunity now without it needing to be results-oriented for players to prove themselves.
Tenari fakes the shot, now cuts in. His left-footed shot is blocked. Falls perfectly for New York. And Ivan's shot not directed on goal. White keeps it alive. Tavera has an opportunity blocked, and now it's back at the foot of Tenari. Tenari surrounded by white jerseys. Baccaro here in possession. Taken away a little bit too easily for Tenari. New York back on the attack. Andrew Tenari has pulled the strings all season for New York Red Bulls too. Gonna do so once again. This ball over the top. Endom caught in between. Serbo passes him. He gets around Politz in one-on-one now. Politz recovers, and the back heel is to Hassan Endom on the wrong team.
Wow. That's a great speed to break away there.
And bizarre play end to end as New York gets this great look to start. Yvonne just didn't get enough contact on that ball. And then on the flip side, Toronto FC2 go about 90 yards for an opportunity.
Yeah, that's a good look from Yvonne there, and the right idea to try to redirect that to the back post, but again, almost leads to the other situation across the goal where we have a breakaway scenario. And again, it's a last-ditch effort. It's a last-ditch play to put out that fire.
If you're Coach Wolnick, clearly at some point you're committing too many numbers into the attack that you're getting caught so exposed on the counter. How do you adjust your team to still play the way you want to, but not have 3-on-1s going the other way?
Well, I think it's a little bit of a false press situation that we're in right now. The pressing is there, and they're in the right situations, but if I'm arriving late to you and I'm stepping up to you and it's easy for you to just play that 1-2 around me, I've got to get into some running lanes. So I maybe need to draw the foul there or kill the game. But I think the pressing idea is right. It's just a matter of not being so naive to think that just pressing alone is going to beat them, because they have experienced players. They have clever players that know that if you overcommit on me, a 1-2 situation, now I'm facing the field, you're out of the play, and I've eliminated a line of defenders. So it's being a little more gamesmanship, I guess you should say. If you're going to step up that press, what do you do if they get the pass off? Do you kill the game? Do you draw the foul? Things like that.
Toronto FC2 on the flip side, Heath, have really settled into this one, have looked a lot more comfortable in possession as this game's worn on.
Yeah, and that's to be expected when you have quality players or experienced players on the field.
Frazier finding Baccaro's feet, the outside of the football from the Catalonian. Now Endo's got the one goal so far. His shot deflected, saved by Mira, followed up and in. What a finish. Tim Kubel takes the risk, makes the run after the save, and scores from a very tight angle.
But again, as you predicted, Toronto have settled in well here. And that all starts off that Fraser through ball, slipping through two lines of defense. They find themselves in an attacking position. You know, again, decent pressure on the ball for that deflection. Ryan Mara does a great job to parry that wide and then isn't able to get up in time as it's slotted home on the near post. But again, those passes that were really sloppy early on from Toronto FC2 are now breaking down those lines, and a little bit of that false press. As the Red Bulls 2 are baiting, they're able to pass through those lines and punish them.
The deflection on Endo's shot almost made it harder for Mira. Saved it into the path of Kubel, scoring his first goal in Toronto FC colors. Kubel out of Stuttgart, Germany. An interesting story. Playing a number of years in some of the top academies in Germany before finally coming over to the U.S. for college soccer. Had 11 assists as he was a Hermann semifinalist at Louisville in 2016. 6 goals, 7 assists in 2017 before getting drafted this year in the second round by Toronto FC. That was a laser. He did not have a lot of space to fit that in. Abong's out and running, trying to equalize now. Save made by Patterson Sewell. Yvonne looking for a second opportunity. And TFC2 get enough of a touch to it. Now looking to restart the attack. Frazier floats that one long. I think Liam Frazier would rather hit a long switch than score a goal.
Yeah, he looks comfortable on the ball. He's especially with his range of his passing. Again, started that attack, slipping that ball to Baccaro the last time through, passing 3-4 defenders, 3-4 midfielders on the way. Now looks a lot more confident to get it link up with the attacking group.
Pushing farther forward now, Endo into the feet of Hamilton, trying to battle through Endom. And screaming for a penalty kick there as Mira got enough on that half shot to recover the ball, but you look at the replay here, penalty or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to say. Once he gets in front of them, it looks a lot like a penalty because he's got his arm over the shoulder. He's holding them back a little bit. Early on, it looks like they're just parrying for position or jockeying for position. And once he kind of gets his body in front, I think there's definitely an argument for a penalty shout there.
I'd say this. It's not clear and obvious using the VAR language. I wouldn't change it at this point. If you could go back and look, which you cannot currently in USL action. It was a close place. Ivan Litt rips that shot and just puts a hand up. Andreas Ivan's had a couple dangerous chances in this one, but out of nowhere puts one in the corner, and we're tied 2-2.
Fantastic strike there. Even more fantastic celebration. As a left footer, if I hit that there into the back corner, I just put my hand up too. Very Eric Cantona-like. But again, a very wide angle there. Finds his spot, knows exactly where he's going with it, strikes it well.
Patterson Sewell sees it a little bit late. Had enough pace on it to beat the goalkeeper. The highest scoring team in USL never disappoints. 4 goals already, not even finished with the first half. This is why you always got to stay tuned in. Incredible USL action here on ESPN Plus. David Goss and Heath Pierce joining you for this one. Andreas Ivan, a goal just 3 minutes after Kubel gave Toronto FC to their first lead of the game.
And there's so much. If you're a TFC2 player right now, there's so much wind taken out of your sails, so to speak. You've done well, you've settled in, you've gotten the lead. And then not even from poor defending, but an actual individual moment of brilliance has now forced you back to the drawing board to figure out how you're going to get out of this match with some points.
Abong able to keep possession. Ivan back on the ball. Up top for Lima, whose shot is blocked. A smart header there from Daniels all the way back to his own goalkeeper. Final 5 minutes left in this first half. Heath, what do you want to see if you're Coach Wolenek from your squad?
Look, I want to see a strong 5 minutes. Not giving up any chances, making sure that from your attack line to your defensive line or vice versa is tight. You have that those gaps are tightened. You're continuing to press and bait a team that's proven today to give up some cheap passes to put you in attacking positions, but ultimately finishing the half strong. You scored a goal. There's plenty of time left in the match. Don't give up anything cheap.
Frazier floats one over the top for Hamilton. Flag stays down. Gets his body in front of Endom. Jordan Hamilton has already been dangerous in this one. The Scarborough, Ontario native. Endo can't find a teammate. Dangerous slide tackle there from Eckenrode. Now Frazier can turn and pick his head up. On the flip side, Heath, if you're coach Rabaska, you haven't had a ton of time with this team, although he's been around the Toronto FC setup. Flag goes up against Hamilton here.
But real quick, before we get to that, this situation here, right? Nico de Vera wins the ball just a few seconds ago, forces that up to Abong. That turns into another situation where they're up against an attacking team. That tackle comes in, and now they're forcing it back down. Jordan Hamilton, now offside, finds himself in a position to perhaps go to goal, right? So this is what we're talking about, finishing the half strong, is Nico de Vera understanding last 5 minutes, is this the right pass? Because it's much smarter to put it behind that back line or find that square pass to somebody who can hold possession than try to jam that in, and now you're potentially giving up a goal with a few minutes left in the half. Now back to your question.
No, when you're a young player, when does that switch flip for you of understanding those moments?
When somebody screams at you at halftime for making the mistake. I mean, not necessarily screaming, but highlighting in front of the team that there is this moment needs to be better.
Because you don't want to be tentative too early, right?
No, you don't want to start sitting back because then you're welcoming more problems, but it's understanding, having that situational awareness of saying, again, that's an okay pass, but is there a better pass? And if I am confused, is there a safe pass? Right. And maybe that's the one over the top. You can move the lines out and you can defend from the half line as opposed to being in your defensive third. You've now turned the ball over, and a team who's proven to punish you a few times off mistakes is now attacking.
Frazier tries to float that one over the top. Handled by Endom. Hassan Endom's had a very up and down season so far. At times looked like a future starting center back for New York Red Bulls. At times been at fault on some big goals this season. Bjorn Thin able to keep possession, and his shot straight into the arms of Mira. So if you're Coach Rabaska here for TFC2, what do you see from this first half? What's your message going into halftime?
Oh, man. I was trying to avoid that question. No, look, I think there was a lot of positives. Obviously, once they settled in, they're a very good team. They have a lot of experience on the field, but now it's a matter of saying, okay, we can't change what's already happened. We can't take the goals back that we've given up, but can we tighten it up a little bit? Can we start to do things maybe 5 to 10% better? Can we be 5 to 10% sharp in our passing? Can we be 5 to 10% better in connecting the lines, of knowing when we need to recover? Just decision-making. Inching that up a little bit better will make them a much better squad in the second half if you're getting 5 to 10% better performance from 11 players.
Another mistake here from TFC2. Abong goes down holding his face after a hard collision with Boskovic. It's been a good battle between those two young players at the center of the field. Anatol Abong got us started with his 12th minute goal, his first in his return to New York Red Bulls 2. Bong had not scored a goal for a New York Red Bull team since 2016. You look at the young fans out. Tsubasa Endo got his first goal in his return to Toronto FC setup. In the 23rd minute, Tim Kubel gave TFC2 the lead in the 36th minute, and that lasted for all of 3 minutes as Andreas Ivan got his first New York Red Bull 2 goal of his career. See Coach Wolnick talking to his players in those final few moments before halftime.
But you know, another thing with Abong, which we talked about, missed penalty, a goal that he thought he had scored, a guy who's trying to find his form again. One thing, if I'm a coach looking at that and I see his work rate, I see his willingness to get in dangerous positions, I see his willingness to work for every inch up top, that's a good sign to me. Many strikers, they sit and they wait for their opportunities. Their confidence is a little bit shaky. They don't necessarily want to do the work. They want to save that energy for those big moments. But instead, you have this guy who's working, willing to get into those positions. And if I'm a coach, I'm thinking, this is the right mentality. This is exactly the position I want this guy to be in mentally. One, to get his confidence back, but two, going into a second half and potentially more goals on the line or open for them to score today.
In 2015, he scored 4 goals in USL play. 2016, he scored 4 goals in MLS action for New York Red Bulls. Heath, you've watched this player play for a number of years now. What's missing? What is it that can't get him to the top? Is it stuff off the field, or is it his performance?
I mean, it's really tough to say what that is, right? And I think if any of us knew the answer to what is missing, we would be able to tap into that, you know.
I would coach the U.S. national team.
Yeah, exactly.
We would press all day.
We would not be here right now. No, it's a consistency thing. I think you see all the tools, the decision making, but on an off day, things are going right for him today. So he's building on that. He's kind of building his confidence on that. But when things are down, how do you respond? And when things are down for a long period as a streaky striker, how do you respond? If it's the 3rd, 4th, 5th game or 10 games without scoring, how do you bounce back from that? And I think that is the mental game of every striker. And we see that where you see and you go, man, there's something special there. There's something magical there. And then these long, dry spells, you go, maybe that magic is lost. And you realize that most strikers are streaky. They're all on confidence. They're all in that touch and that feel that you don't think twice when you're in front of goal, as opposed to when you're not in form and you start second-guessing everything.
Anatol Abong looking to make the hard road back all the way for New York Red Bulls. At the close of the transfer window, he will be here for the rest of the year, just until December. Nagas flips that ball through, the offside flag up once again. Abong puts it in, but it won't count. Walking that back line, though, dangerously. It was dangerous for TFC2. Early on as Abong got the first goal, 2-2 right now, Heath. It's been chaos both sides. What should we expect going into the second half?
goals, more goals. I don't see. I can see the New York Red Bulls 2 tightening up their defense. They've got strong fundamentals there. I can see a new coach coming in to tighten up TFC 2s, but I think that there's more vulnerability in that squad. They haven't been super sharp, but again, if they can come out and add 5-10% improvements to each of those players, we're going to see a completely different squad in the second half.
New York Red Bulls 2, the highest scoring team in USL. They have not disappointed. TFC 2 trying to go on the road and ruin New York Red Bulls 2 playoff hopes in 2018. We've got all of your USL week of action coming up here at halftime. We'll look at the USL Team of the Week and look forward to the second half here on ESPN+.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
The lights are on as the sun has set here in Montclair, New Jersey. The penultimate game at home for New York Red Bulls 2. We talked about the star players off the top. Jordan Hamilton has made a big difference for TFC 2.
Yeah, he started the first few minutes active, and then they had trouble finding him, right? That's a little chip over the top there. Saw a little flash and then kind of faded out for a bit, but then slowly got himself more and more involved, making those runs to the corners, which, you know, again, no center back wants to chase the guy out into the channels. And that starts to open up space, but that willingness to get on his left foot there, cuts it across. Great ball across, an easy tap in, but again, Jordan Hamilton, a guy who there's a lot of expectation on him moving forward within the system, but does well.
On the flip side, we talked about Andrew Tenari off the top, pulling the strings. He's been active, not everything's come off, but you've seen him push that press for New York Red Bulls 2 and try and be aggressive.
Yeah, he's been aggressive a lot, and like you said, he usually pulls the strings there. I've seen Aguinaga a little bit more active in the attack, connecting those dots, a little bit more of that creativity. I'd love to see more of that from Tinari in the second half.
Well, you see there, the last game of the season will be home for New York Red Bulls 2 on October 14th as they host Bob Lilly's Pittsburgh Riverhounds in what could be a must-win situation for New York Red Bulls 2 to get into the playoffs. This 4-game homestand coming up. It should be a fun one for TFC 2. Their next home game, September 26th against the Ottawa Fury, as they will try and turn around that result from last week in a 4-3 loss. We'll be back with your USL Team of the Week here on ESPN+.
How's it going, everyone? USL's Kelsey Steele here with FC Cincinnati defender Forrest Lasso. So we're well aware of what Forrest can do on the pitch, so today we're going to see what he's got on the court. We've got a game of horse going with a few questions in between. So Forrest, you want to get to it?
Let's do it.
Go.
Oh, let's go. Oh, pressure's on. Let's do it.
We got an H, people. So you're rally guy. Favorite part about North Carolina?
Ooh, sweet team barbecue.
MJ or LeBron?
Oh, that's like the Pele-Messi question.
There's only one right answer.
I mean, I'm definitely biased, so I'm MJ. We'll go with Bang this time.
Oh, okay, all right. Ah!
Oh, we got a letter.
Okay, sweet spot then on the court.
Top of the key. Why
Top
not?
of the key, okay. Oh!
Oh, yes.
Whose play would you mirror the most?
Little size difference with Dwayne Wade. He was the reason I started watching the NBA.
Get out of here. What, only 5'6", 5'7" at 16, and now you're pushing 6'7" at 25. What's that like for you?
So being the small guy, I was like the run of the litter growing up. I was always the smallest guy on every team, and then once it started to grow, I would like to say I was more technically sound when I was younger and smaller. And as I kind of grew, I kept the technical part of my game, and then I also realized that I had the physical side. When it comes to the game, it's definitely been a blessing. It's a special tool or trait that not everybody has, obviously.
Killing me.
Needed that.
Being pulled in from that Cincinnati community, what do they do bring to you guys?
Oh man, I've been playing this game since, I don't know, 3 years old. Everybody likes the game, not everybody loves the game, and when you go to Cincinnati, you can tell that there's 40,000 people that love it.
You're roommates with Jimmy. Tell me you've got a good story or two living with him over these last few months.
Oh, we've probably seen it on a few goal celebrations, but he's got absolutely no rhythm. He's probably going to hate that I told the world this, but he's, when it comes to dancing, this guy's pretty fun to watch.
Not short. Ah! Give it to the champ.
That was fun.
That'll do it for us today, Forrest. Thanks for coming along and bearing the heat with us. For now, that'll do it from Tampa.
You look at the USL Team of the Week. A little bit of history for this team as Jesus Ferreira, just 17 years old with a hat trick, voted Player of the Week, the Young FC Dallas player on loan at Tulsa, son of former MLS MVP David Ferreira, Eugene Starikov, 2 goals in the first half against New York Red Bulls. 2, Canardo Forbes continuing to push for Pittsburgh Riverhounds to get their first win in 4 games, a big win for Pittsburgh. And you look at the standings, and that's why they stay in front of Charleston in second place as Louisville City and Indy 11 start to close in behind them. New York Red Bulls 2. Opportunity missed with that loss on the road to Indy 11, but 2 games in hand on Bethlehem Steel FC, so a chance to jump into 6th place with a win here today as they start to create a little bit of distance over the Ottawa Fury. And then take a look out west in USL play. Real Monarchs and Orange County continue their strong season. Phoenix Rising, another big year for them as they continue to push. And Reno 1868 trying to follow up what was a big first season for them, debuting in USL with a 2nd playoff appearance, sitting right there in 9th place. What's going to be a phenomenal close to the year for USL. Make sure to stick to ESPN Plus for all those games and USLsoccer.com for all your updates. Take a look at the halftime stats here. And it's what you'd expect, although Toronto FC a little bit more possession than New York Red Bulls 2, but New York Red Bulls 2 13 shots to 6. They've pushed the attack in a lot of places.
I think it's gone both ways, right? I think New York Red Bulls 2 have settled in early on. Toronto FC 2 then took a lot of that back, grew much more comfortable. Passing got a little bit sharper, not so many turnovers. But again, most of the Red Bulls' opportunity came early on from bad turnovers from Toronto FC 2, so it wasn't a lot of possession-oriented attack.
No cards so far in this one. It's been a clean one, but we have seen it get testy between these 2 teams. New York Red Bulls 2 came from behind to get a win in the first game of the season at home against TFC2, a draw on the road for New York Red Bulls 2. In the second result, TFC2 have still yet to beat New York Red Bulls 2 in their history, but these 2 teams well connected in their short history. A lot of firsts against each other. Will it be the first time that TFC2 get a win against New York Red Bulls 2, or will New York get 3 more home points? We'll be back with all your second half action here on ESPN Plus in just a moment.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
Lights are on here at MSU Soccer Park for the New York Red Bulls 2. Permanent home under their banner for their 2016 championship. Looking to make some damage in 2018. Let's take a look at the first half highlights. David Goss and Heath Pierce on the call for you, and it got started early for New York Red Bulls 2 in the attack.
Fantastic through ball, and again, does well. Ball gets away from him a little bit, but does a great job of putting that back on frame, slotting it between the goalkeeper and that last line defense, trying to crash to that goal line there, and then obviously all smiles, breaking that kind of slump a little bit and kind of starting to find his confidence again.
And then TFC2, gorgeous play here, some great connection. Jordan Hamilton sets up Tsubasa Endo for his first goal of the year.
And just simply there, it's not even a difficult movement or a hard movement as much as Jordan Hamilton opening up his hips, spinning out, and that slotting that straight ball through. He's able to cut it across for that old school FIFA tap in the cheat goal, so to speak, but a great ball, a great finish.
TFC2 struggling early on, but then they take the lead here. Mira struggling with the first shot, and Kubel slams home the goal.
And again, that deflection forces Mera to have to readjust his feet, and that spin out there puts him a little bit wider of the goal than he probably would have been otherwise. And that's the exact space that they attack on that finish there. Great strike, put a ton of pace on it, and probably the only space it would have scored, and was able to put it away.
The rookie out of Louisville gets his first goal of the year. Andreas Ivan just 3 minutes later ties it up once again.
Like you said in the first half, goalkeeper's frozen there. Reacts just a little bit too late, not able to set his feet, but Andreas Ivan knew exactly where he was going from the moment he planted his foot. That back post hard and low, and is able to level the score.
And you can see the fans out here, their last chance to see this squad for a month now as New York Red Bulls 2 head to Charlotte, followed up with road trip to Nashville, North Carolina, and Penn FC. A road trip that most likely will decide the season for New York Red Bulls 2. On the flip side, TFC2, I mentioned a tough run at FC Cincinnati, at Bethlehem Steel FC, and then returning home on September 26th to host the Ottawa Fury in an all-Canada matchup. It's going to be a tough road for these two teams coming down the stretch, which makes this a must-win game for New York Red Bulls 2. How, if you're Coach Wolnick, do you express that here in this locker room?
I mean, it's difficult to put that into words. By now, at this point in the season, the players should know what long road trips are like. They know what playing at home is like. They know how important those points are. So maybe it's leaning on the leader. Maybe it's leaning on a Tinari to be able to motivate that squad, to bring them internally, because perhaps it's not the words of the coach that get these guys to understand it. By this point in the season, these players have to understand the magnitude of this game, of what playing at home is like, what a long road stretch is going to be like, how hard it is to get points on the road, and especially where they're at in the table, they have a great opportunity to get these 3 points today, which gives them a little bit of cushion for that road run.
On the flip side for TFC2, is there any specific directions that you think of when you look at what they're talking about in this locker room? Is there anything you're talking to maybe a Boskovic about in terms of defending Anatola Bong or Jordan Hamilton and his movement.
Look, and not to beat on this too hard, but they're not playing for anything other than their jobs at this point. So one, it's pride. The next thing is little improvements. That's what you need to start building these guys back up. It's each player, and not that you have enough time at halftime to address each player, but again, it's about saying, I need 5 to 10% more from each of you because you all have it in you. You all have the quality to that, but can we raise our level across the board? Can you go to your center midfield and say, I want you to play the second half without actually turning the ball over? Don't make a fatal error. Make smart plays and build on that. It's all those little tiny things that ultimately make the team a lot better, but how you address that is very difficult at a halftime in a team that's clearly lacked a consistent confidence for the whole year.
Toronto FC2, 3-20-3 on the season. Only team in USL that's already eliminated from the playoff race here in their all-white jerseys with white shorts and socks. New York Red Bulls, too, back out on the field in their red kits with the red shorts and socks as we get ready for the second half here at MSU Soccer Park. David Goss and Heath Pierce in the booth alongside you for this one. It's been fun so far. 4 goals in the first half. You always get what you pay for with New York Red Bulls, too, the most explosive team in the league. We expect to see fireworks once again here in the second half. Heath, it's an experienced attack for New York Red Bulls, too, in Abong, Brian White, Andreas Ivan. But you've been impressed by Jose Aguinaga, the rookie behind them, pulling the strings, creating some chances.
Yeah, well, first of all, his ability to find good passes starts with the run. That run dictates the pass. And if you look at that attacking 4 or 5, the runs have been dynamic enough, but Aguinaga has then delivered on those passes. Little clever diagonal passes, breaking down that back line, no-look passes, being that guy between that defensive midfield and the attacking line. I've seen a lot from him tonight. I'd love to see more in the second half.
We're ready to kick off here at MSU Soccer Park for the second half. New York Red Bulls 2, Anatola Bong will do the honors. We are going to see if either of these two teams can escape what would be a big 3 points, especially for New York Red Bulls 2, as we looked at the standings at halftime. Red Bulls 2 currently in 7th. 8 teams will make the playoffs in either conference. Red Bulls 2 have games in hand on Bethlehem Steel FC, who sit right in front of them. And on points per game, currently they are in the playoffs, as no one with games in hand have enough to pass them from below. That does not mean that by any means they can take their foot off the gas coming forward here. It's a good one because my last name sometimes is pronounced Gas. I just noticed that as I said it. David Goss and Heath Pierce. Yeah, I don't even know why I would say that, but it came out. Couldn't even avoid it. White now in some open space. Closed down by Coupel. White looking for some help. Lays it off for Tenari. Tenari sneaks it back through for Brian White, whose shot is saved by Patterson Sewell. And Cutler now with the drive. Deflected off a defender and cleared. Andrew Tenari not taking long here, Heath, to get started in the second half.
Absolutely, and again, wanting him to get more touches on the ball in the more dangerous positions, and does that. And that's a great little confidence builder to start seeing those angles and those runs and that timing with your teammates, because so many pieces have to come together when you're a playmaker or you have that creative eye. It's good to see him start the second half that way, and hopefully he can build on that.
And comes into possession for White, who started most of the year on New York Red Bulls 2 at center forward, playing out on that quote-unquote wide position, wing, whatever it is that you want to call it. How different is his role now?
It's quite a bit different, but a lot of that's about adapting and again, playing the role that you're needed to be playing, especially this last home game before a long road stretch. But it's adding tools to to what he's capable of, right? If you're used to being in that center position, sitting between two defenders, it's a completely different game than when you're able to face up the field regularly, or you've got a guy coming on your back, or knowing how the game shifts when you're driving inside. It's a different type of game, but I think some of his strengths play into that. It's just whether he's willing to embrace that difference and continue to develop different kind of skill sets.
And he's brought into the MLS squad to back up Bradley Wright Phillips, not going to displace BWP, but with Florian Valot's injury, who we have had on this broadcast a couple times, and we hope is doing fantastic. We appreciate him watching all the time. There's space on that wing to earn a couple minutes. Andreas Ivan's in that conversation, but White needs to show he has some of those skills maybe to get on the field a little bit more at the MLS level.
Yeah, and that's not always going to come in the perfect scenario. They could put you at right back and you're a striker, and if you're looking to get minutes, you have to prove, one, your commitment, but two, kind of take those parameters set for you and then show your creativity and your abilities through them. And obviously right back is an extreme example of that. But what I'm saying is, you know, being creative and showing quality no matter what the circumstances are.
Daniels coming across the field there. Sorry, it was Serbal, who pulls up with a little bit of an injury, seems to take a hit to his ankle. Tanari sneaks this one through for Aguinaga. Cutler now charging forward. Cutler puts it into the pass of Ivan, who's got space to shoot. Just wide of that near post. You saw Andreas Ivan's eyes get big on that one as he had a full few yards to wind up and take a rip.
He was clearly looking for that top corner there. A clever play for typically a goalkeeper, assuming you're going to drive across his body. He's going high, looking to roof it on the near post. Strikes it well, but
already has a goal. Clearly playing with some confidence from that. And Cutler once again getting forward from that right back spot. We've seen how dangerous he's been, as you talk about. Number 10 at Colgate, now been converted to a right back over the last year and a half with New York Red Bulls too. Earned an MLS contract earlier this year and got the start against the Seattle Sounders in June at the MLS level. Still learning that right back spot.
I think that's a great thing. Obviously, the wing back position has become such an attacking position now that the hardest part of converting sometimes the most attack-minded players is that commitment to defense, right? Are you willing to learn the position? Are you willing to learn the tactics of this? This is not just, we don't all get to be Danny Alves where your starting point is the half line and you really own the attack and track back because you have the best players all around you doing some of that dirty work. You know, it's about embracing that position, and every day is a learning experience. We saw at the national team level, Jonathan Spector, who played through the youth national teams as a striker, eventually quickly became a center back and capable of playing outside back, goes to Man United when he's young. Because of that, you're like, wow, this guy has a lot of his skills, calm on the ball, attacking minded. Now we put the emphasis on teaching him those other skills. You can become quite a quality player there.
Corner kick coming. Floated in, headed down on frame. Sorry, wide of the frame. And it goes out for a goal kick. If I asked 19-year-old Heath Pierce what position he played, what would he say?
Man, 19-year-old?
Yeah. Were you a fullback?
I was probably a left midfielder then, but had a few reps as a fullback. I had become a fullback probably a year before that, but you know, at the college level, the team thought I was more kind of effective.
Ivan with some space here. This one on frame, sorry, towards goal again.
They saw me as more effective as an attacking player at that point, but ultimately 20-year-old Heath becomes a left back at the professional level with that commitment and understanding. I went through that crash course at the university level, had a great coach, Clive Charles, who, if you follow Major League Soccer or the history of Portland Timbers, was an influential person, former Olympic team coach, and really, really put a focus on teaching me the fundamentals of defending. I came in as a terrible defender, and he built all that into me and really instilled the understanding of what it takes to be a defender. You don't get to really go halfway at becoming a good defender. You have to commit to knowing that you're a defender first, and attacking comes as a bonus.
At that age, was there bitterness? Were you annoyed that you were told that you were an attacking player?
No, because the position was, I mean, of course, I'd love to be the striker that scores all the goals, but most of the time, especially within the development systems of the United States at that point, you were an attacker because you were the fastest, not because it was the right thing for you.
Serble gets into space here, outside of the foot. That pass through for Hamilton, who couldn't get enough on it to direct it on goal. Once again, another gap down that left channel for TFC2, and Hamilton almost puts them ahead for the second time tonight.
Great first touch inside there. Back post, fantastic ball. Should have done more with it. A little bit of that skip when you're playing on turf, and the ball can get a little bit fast sometimes.
New York never waits. Aguinaga back on the attack. His cross just over the head of a bong.
Fantastic ball across there. And again, going right back down to the other end. Aguinaga gets his head up, gets it into the air to that near post space, and just enough of a bump, and perhaps behind him just enough for him to miss that header, but a great response to what was a huge goal-scoring opportunity for Toronto FC2 just a few moments before that.
End-to-end action here at MSU Soccer Park, the permanent home of New York Red Bulls 2. As we have come to expect, we've seen some wild ones here. A 6-4 loss to Louisville. So a few weeks ago, New York Red Bulls 2, a 4-4 draw against Charleston on the road, a game that they trailed 4-1 at halftime. TFC2, a 4-3 loss at home against Ottawa in their last game, a 4-1 win on the road against Louisville just 2 weeks ago. So we thought we'd see something like this, but it's lived up to expectations.
Like you said before, if I'm marketing this, I'm standing on the corner of the street just saying, who likes goals, who likes goals. That's enough for me to get me out to a match like this. Always exciting, full of action, and ultimately that leads to a lot of goals.
We've yet to see a card so far in this game. Over 15 fouls between the two teams, but nothing too egregious. JJ Belinsky, our head official, talking to Jordan Hamilton, who now pushes back to the top of the box. So Vaquero on a one-man wall, but Lima to take. He floats it to the far right side. Endom going up over the back there of Endo. And the foul easily called against New York Red Bulls 2. So Heath, you mentioned just half, if you were an attacking player when you were coming up, that meant you were fast.
Yeah.
So it was a physical profile that was what?
Yeah, it wasn't that I lacked the skill set to be a striker, but you know, when I moved to Europe, or when I was eventually playing in the Bundesliga, I was at that point a 3-year pro, but maybe a 4-year outside back or wing back or fullback, playing against guys who'd been built in the system at the age of 12, identified as an outside back or a wing back, and then now played 6 years of constant reps in that same position, knowing if somebody takes away your passing lane, where's the answer?
Tenari offside here as that flag goes up.
You know, if somebody takes away your passing lane, where's the answer to that? When you drive inside, where's your answer? Where are the solutions to your problems? I had to learn that at a very high level very quickly, whereas others had gotten a ton of reps. Which we're seeing here is that improvement on player identification at a younger age to know where do they fit within the squad.
Replay here, Tenari offside on that far side.
Nice little clever ball in. Tough angle to see whether linesman made the right call, but
great news over the last few weeks as the USL surpassed 2 million in total attendance, maintaining a record pace in the stands for the league's modern era. The league and its teams would like to thank you, the fans, for the rising support you've provided over the course of this season as we head towards the 2018 USL Cup playoffs, and we will get our first card here. Brian White picking up the yellow card. And it looks like we're going to have our first sub. And Jared Stroud will come on the field in place of Anatol Abong. So he gets his first goal since he's returned to the New York Red Bulls family. Heath, what do you make of his 60 minutes or so here today?
Look, clearly there was either they're building on something. This was predetermined at halftime. Give me 15 good minutes. It seemed like it was tough for him to find this second half. The second half hasn't really settled in, so I think it's a great look from Coach Wolenik to try to bring in a spark and really use that runway of 30 minutes to try to bring home 3 points. And obviously Anatol Abong, I think he had a great match, but again, when you look at it, how much more was he going to provide today with what the game was giving? Probably the right thing to bring somebody else in.
Jared Stroud tied for third in USL. That shot into the stomach of Mira. In assists, sitting behind Aiden Quinn, NFC Cincinnati's Ledesma. Stroud has been up at the top of those leaderboards throughout the summer since he's inserted himself to what seemed like the starting lineup, but now coming off the bench in this one.
Well, yeah, like you say, you're taking Abong off for a player who's in the best form on your team or your most consistent team, and that allows White now to step up to that high position, show what he can do in that high point position on the field, which is where he's probably most comfortable.
Ivan offside. Aguinaga went down in a heap just moments before that. No recognition from the referee on that one. So Stroud will go out wide and slide Brian White in to the center forward spot to fill in for Abong. Ivan will remain on the other side with Aguinaga, Tanari, and Lima in midfield behind them. Jared Stroud, as I mentioned earlier in the broadcast, a fourth-round pick out of Colgate University, following his teammate Ethan Cutler here. Colgate's head coach, very familiar with Jesse Marsh, has vouched for those two players. Marsh taking the chance on both of them in the draft. Aguinaga's pass is blocked by Eckenrode, and Frazier now gets a vital touch all the way back to his goalkeeper, Patterson Sewell. Cutler flying forward. Frazier does enough to at least get the ball to go out, but it'll be a throw into New York. Perfect 70 degrees and cool right now. Out here on the field after a humid day. Hurricane Florence headed for all of us. Their thoughts go out to everyone in the path, but no rain so far this evening. New York Red Bulls, too, of course, will travel down to North Carolina for their next game. Good turn by White, ends up at the feet of Stroud. His pass turned over. 60 minutes played so far. Final third coming here at Montclair State University. Heath, it's been a back and forth second half so far. Neither team really clamping down like we saw in the first half.
Yeah, it seems very testy right now. No one's really settled in or kept possession.
Now a chance for Jordan Hamilton in on goal, and he puts his team ahead once again. For a forward of his pedigree, almost an easy finish there. Jordan Hamilton wide open in the center of the field to put TFC2 up 3-2.
And this all starts off that great turn from Serbal there, and then just puts Jordan Hamilton, and there's so much time that as a left footer, he should have, under pressure, had to force that on his right foot, but has time to let it go across his body, a much more comfortable position, and punch it in. Like you said, that turn was a magical turn to set that up, but should never be that much space between your two center backs if they're communicating enough. And someone stepping out, the other one has to cover there to make sure that you're playing with that pessimistic mindset that says, if this goes wrong, if he gets beat, where do I need to be to make the next play?
And it's almost like TFC2 have lulled New York Red Bulls 2 into a sleep a couple times this game. They've been able to find openings much too easy. see the quality up top of Jordan Hamilton being a big difference for this Toronto FC2 squad. Armando Moreno subbing on for Andreas Ivan in the break. Moreno, the leading scorer for this team with 9 on the year, still coming back from a foot injury that had him out for a full month. But Moreno, if anything, is a goal-hungry player. Stroud not able to keep possession as Eckenrode lets that one run.
Now, when you look at a player like Armando Moreno, instantly when he comes on, the one thing you know you're going to get is high energy. You're going to get that energy. He doesn't always make the best decisions. And when you have that energy, the hardest part is showing that you're better than being a super sub, right? Because he can bring so much to the table. But then when you look over 90 minutes at times, it comes in spurts. But one thing that you know you're going to get when you come on as a sub with less than 30 to play is that high energy, create something out of nothing. And that's the exact kind of player you want in a situation like this.
Armando Moreno played in the New York Red Bulls Academy before signing a contract in Mexico with Cholos Tijuana. Made 4 appearances over the course of 3 years in Liga MX play, 21 appearances in Copa MX action, as well as a loan down to the Ascension to Dorados. Heath, he's a player you know pretty well. You saw coming up as a kid. It took him a little while to find his feet this season. Banged in 9 goals over the course of the summer, was on a hot streak when he broke his foot and looked like a guy who might get a shot with the MLS squad right before he got injured.
Absolutely, and again, he's got skills. He's got great technique. He's powerful for his size. But the thing that I like more than anything is he's got that fearlessness that you want. He's willing to run at anybody, anytime, and when that's working, it's impossible to stop at just about any level.
I mentioned off the top, Coach Wolenek over the last months had games where he's had 4 or 5 players on the bench to start the game, and in this one he's able to bring on his leading assist man in Jared Stroud and goal scorer in Armando Moreno. The number of other experienced players on the bench, and he's going to need it. Trailing 3-2 right now in a must-win game. Ball over the top. White gets a touch to it. Pass Patterson Sewell, and Eckenrode clears it off the line. White trying to not do too much on that one. A soft touch beats the goalkeeper, but not the defense. And now TFC2 back the other way. Endo floats it up for Hamilton, laid back for Daniels, and he puts that one over the top off the parking garage.
When you look at some of the individual skills we're seeing here on this replay, great little clip up top, but again, that calmness from Jordan Hamilton to bring it down. Not a great finish, obviously, but you're starting to see some of that quality come out in these individual moments as that game starts to get, field starts to get a little bit bigger.
Moreno walks right by Frazier there in midfield. That through ball goes off the heel of Stroud. Now Tonari getting tight with Endo. Tsubasa Endo, the native of Japan. Attended Maryland University after coming out of the Japanese Federation Academy. He was located at their academy structure in Fukushima, where of course there was an evacuation after the nuclear waste. Ended up at Maryland, had a strong college career, getting drafted in the first round by TFC. Hasn't been a straight line though, Heath, for him. Starting in MLS, his second year starting more games in USL than MLS, his third year getting let go from the roster and now trying to fight his way back.
Yeah, and I think that's a very...
Naga in a little bit of space. Tackled away from White. Now Stroud back on the ball. Into the feet of Lima, whose shot is saved. Patterson Sewell equal to the task. What a drive from the Red Bull Academy alumni.
We gave him some stick for making a meal of the first half save, but this is one where he was forced to actually leave his feet there and lays out and does a great job to keep his team in the lead.
Corner kick coming. Patterson Sewell with the mistake, and White capitalizes. Don't compliment too soon there, Heath. a gift. And Caleb Patterson-Sewell is absolutely furious with our head official, J.J. Blinsky, who's going over to talk to his assistant referee in Richard Zayas. The Bulls are on parade over the sound system, but we'll see if it will stand.
Ref just drew the line.
Just trying to say, don't come talk to us.
Yeah, stay away here. Just drew the perimeter.
And Patterson-Sewell is furious on this one. He came out, looked like he was going to take it easily. He fumbles it a little, and Red Bulls too are able to put it in.
It looked like he went to punch there, and I think he's claiming he had his arm held back. On some level, they were able to get that quick little tap in. It'll be interesting to see what they decide.
And the goal will stand. You have to give it to J.J. Blinsky. He did what he had to do. He saw the play, didn't make the call, goes over to his assistant referee. And I don't know what Patterson.
I don't see anything there.
Oh, maybe he's saying that it was put in by a hand here on Brian White, but it's a clean header.
I don't see that either. Maybe he's making a claim that he was obstructed of getting back into the goal there, but if that's where your first clearance goes, you don't have much of an argument if you're not able to clear the lines with that punch or that hit.
But Brian White moves into a tie with Armando Moreno for leading goal scorer on the team with his 9th goal of the year. There's Jordan Faria now will check on for Aiden Daniels. Faria, young Brampton, Ontario native. Many of these TFC2 players. Just 18 years old. New York Red Bulls, too, given a lifeline, not just on this game, Heath, but potentially on their season there with that gift of a goal. Now the question is, how much can they take advantage?
Yeah, you're right there. It's just about now settling in. You obviously have a lot of goal scorers. You're used to high-paced, high-action games. You got plenty of time left on the clock. Can you get back to the basics a little bit of having that composure? Obviously, we've seen throughout the season high-scoring games don't only always mean for the Red Bulls, too, that they're the only ones scoring. They also give up goals in high-scoring games, but now they've, like you said, been given a little bit of a lifeline here.
Tom Barlow coming on in place of White. So Brian White's last touch of the game will be a goal, his 9th of the season in USL. He scored the game winner in his first MLS start against the Houston Dynamo a couple weeks ago in a big 1-0 win for New York Red Bulls in their fight for a supporter shield at the MLS level. And now he gets a huge goal here in his last action, the USL level, as New York Red Bulls 2 try to fight for this playoff spot. Barlow came off the bench, scored a hat trick in the second half against Charleston a couple weeks ago. You know he's going to bring speed and energy off that bench. Coach Wolenek said he's the most athletic player in the system for New York Red Bulls.
It's quite a compliment.
Yeah. He is a natural American attacker. Has speed, right?
Yep, that's the way it's.
Unlike locomotive Heath Pierce chugging along.
Just played FIFA 08 today on a console, and I had 88 speed or 89 speed, I think it was. Yeah. At one point, it was there.
Back in the glory days. What was your highest? Great move here from Frazier. Ball pushed wide for Kubel. He floats one in. Lima pushing it away. De Vera trying to save it from a corner kick. Kubel gets possession back in a dangerous area. Endo now. His cross blocked, and it'll go out.
Great defensive stop there. De Vera doing his best to keep it in. Ends up becoming a dangerous situation.
Like you said, knowing when to take that risk there for a young player in De Vera.
Yeah, and in your mind, you're saying,
corner kick taken. Eckenrode heads it down. Frazier trying to get anything to it. It's finally cleared away. Kubel there, a little bit a mistake on that pass. TFC2 get another bite at this one. Endom comes flying through for the initial header and a foul in favor of New York.
You know, you fear De Vera on that play again. your first thought is don't give up the corner kick. It's a much more dangerous play. Sometimes that compounds into thing. I don't think his ultimate goal was to take a touch that got away from him there, but again, I like the confidence on trying to bring that ball down there, but it's never going to be perfect.
Get an inside look at life on and off the field from a player's perspective every Wednesday evening in the latest edition of From the Pitch on USLsoccer.com. USLsoccer.com, your home for this final stretch. As teams start to round into form heading in to the USL Cup playoffs. Last year, New York Red Bulls, too, snuck in as the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. 2 big road wins, a blowout of Charleston in the playoffs, and a win in extra time against Tampa Bay Rowdies. Got them to the Eastern Conference Finals, a penalty kick loss against eventual champions Louisville. New York Red Bulls, too, have been to the playoffs every year. They've made the Eastern Conference Finals once. They've won the whole thing once as well. A 5-0 win in the final against Swope Park Rangers at Red Bull Arena in 2016. They got to get back to get a chance here in 2018. It's a dangerous free kick coming up for TFC2. Eckenrode comes over to talk to Liam Frazier.
And you're seeing how big of a compliment that is to the New York Red Bulls organization to consistently be competitive at all levels. Your MLS team is a consistent playoff team. Your USL team is a consistent playoff team. You're seeing here with Toronto FC2, things start to fall apart. You run into some injuries with your MLS team. You start to call on players. It makes it difficult, and it's showing you how much quality and depth the organization has here.
Endo lining this one up. He hits it off the wall. Deflects through. It'll go out for a corner kick. TFC2 knocking on the door once again. New York Red Bulls still have all 11 players in the box to defend. Look at a replay of this free kick. Not exactly Ronaldo-esque from that distance.
I like that topspin, though.
Yeah. Endo now will take the set piece once again, floats it to the top of the 6. A dangerous ball, and Eckenrode's header just wide of that far post. For TFC2, Heath, they've come in here, played one of their best games of the season so far, no matter how the result goes. And you've seen what a guy like Liam Frazier and Jordan Hamilton can do to this squad just to settle them.
Yeah, and especially in a moment like this, you're looking at the field and you're seeing a little bit of gap still within the Red Bulls 2 squad. 4 players up on the top line, 6 sitting back and not really joined in their press, you know. And again, you see the press in this situation there, and that's that moment that that back line should be able to say, the 6 of us need to step out, push numbers up, push a guy on because they're not getting out of this. And again, they're able to solve that problem and break those lines of pressure from one pass or clearance.
Tavera into the feet of Moreno, who has it taken away. Frazier goes sliding in there. Long ball over the top. Moreno's onside. He's got Barlow making the near post run. He finds his feet. And the sliding defensive play made there by Boskovic. And it'll go out for a corner kick.
It's a great near post run again, covered. It's important there. If Mondo Moreno, who takes his first touch towards the end line instead of taking that touch inside, kills a little bit of his angle. So when that near post run starts to close up, where is that cut pass back to the penalty spot, or where's that next run that has a little bit better look on goal?
It'll be Lima to take. Chris Lima growing up just a couple miles from where we stand right now. He goes short to the feet of Tenari. Tenari now trying to find some space. Lima closed down by 2 TFC defenders, gets the crossaway, bounces in the box, end on back to Stroud, still alive. Moreno's shot is pulled wide. And now Cutler brings it down on the top of the box. His shot deflected. New York Red Bulls 2 claiming a handball there in the box. And J.J. Belinsky waves it off.
From that first look there, it looked like a huge opportunity for Barlow, who kind of got caught flat-footed. Ball comes across the goal. You don't get a lot of opportunities like that, especially in a game that has this much at stake.
Tenari with the tackle, wins it back. Now he makes the run forward. Boskovic thought he made a clean tackle. He's not happy with Tenari. We've seen Tenari get in a couple disputes with opponents throughout the season. Something about the little man that frustrates opponents. And Boskovic now will have a conversation with J.J. Belinsky that will end in a yellow card.
I've got two things on that one, Gus.
Go for it.
If there's one person on that field I'm not messing with, that's J.J. Belinsky. He is that is a big person, you know. But look, a guy like Tenari, interestingly enough, it reminds me a lot of a guy like Moreno, where they chip away at you. Their style of play, their center of gravity, or if you're a bigger guy, you're constantly chasing them around these tight angles, and it makes you feel like you're turning like a semi-truck as they're turning smoothly around you. And that is difficult to play against, especially because they also have that little bit of that chip on their shoulder that they're willing to kick you, they're willing to battle, they're willing to scrap, and that can lead to a lot of frustration, as you're seeing from Boskovic there. Eventually you want to just stop them, so you go through them and try to get him to just stop running for a little bit.
Nobel Okale coming on for the goal scorer, Tsubasa Endo, here in the 79th minute. So Endo and Abong both off the field. Andreas Ivan as well. Tenari's free kick headed away at the near post. Stroud mistimes his jump. But for Tsubasa Endo, we talked about he hasn't played soccer for most of 2018. Now this just his 8th game back, his 7th start. You could see the player that TFC was so happy with 2 years ago in MLS action.
Absolutely. I mean, you're looking at the same thing through Amando Moreno. There's so much potential there, and for Endo now trying to make his way back in, it's a pretty common.
Aguinaga's cross sneaks through. Closing there was Moreno, and it was slid away at the last moment by Bjornthen.
But it feels like the all too common story we have in North America, right? Which is so much potential. It doesn't lead to the right situation. But now we're seeing more teams, more availability, more opportunities, that perhaps this is the thing that kickstarts his career to more consistency, a better run of games at a higher level. And maybe we see all that potential come to fruition.
Lima floats this one in. Frazier wins the first header. Moreno brings it down. And his volley deflected back out for another corner kick. For Red Bulls, too, at times it feels like there's 6 guys sitting on the top of the box waiting for a volley. And Endom challenging alongside Barlow for the header. Tenari now. See if he floats this one to the top of the box again. This one curled in, headed away easily by Bjornthen. Tenari trying to recover. He does get possession back. And now Lima can turn upfield. Dangerous pass into the feet of Stroud, turned over. Can TFC2 counter once again? Okello jogging upfield there, and it'll be the final sub coming up here for TFC2. It looks like it'll be Malik Johnson off the bench. Johnson, a Canadian U20 international. Been part of the TFC2 Academy since 2013. He's already got 1 goal and 2 assists this year in USL play. Final 10 minutes coming up here. 3-3 between the New York Red Bulls 2 and Toronto FC 2. David Goss and Heath Pierce on the call for you on ESPN+. We expected goals in this one, but I don't know if we could have anticipated this. A bong in the 12th minute. Tsubasa Endo set up by Jordan Hamilton in the 23rd minute. Tim Kubel gave TFC2 their first lead of the game in the 36th. Andreas Ivan equalized just 3 minutes later. And then in the second half, Jordan Hamilton in the 62nd and Brian White putting away the gift that Caleb Patterson-Sewell gave him in the 68th minute for his 9th of the year. That has us knotted at 3-3 here at MSU Soccer Park. How well do you know the USL? Test your knowledge in USLsoccer.com's weekly pick competition. every week, and you could win tickets to an upcoming USL game of your choice. Lima press there. He loses possession. Now Johnson going back the other way has it poked away. We saw the difference that Frazier and Hamilton brought. Now these young players who have started so often this season for TFC2 looking to make a difference off the bench. Aguinaga's got space. He was aiming for Barlow on the far post, but it was knocked down quickly. Heath, these last 10 minutes, what's your expectation based on the way these two teams have played out this second half?
Look, if I'm either team, I'm saying there's still a goal out there, right? And that's not rocket science by any means. There's been 6 goals today, and a lot of them have been from poor shape or bad turnovers or gifts.
Early ball played there. And won't be able to be saved on that far post by Faria.
So if I'm either coach, especially TFC2, perhaps at this point I'm saying go for it. What do you have to lose at this point?
Barlow's onside as the flag stays down here. Charging in on goal. Tries to cut back. Big tackle made by Eckenrode. Now Stroud on the ball. And his cross goes past Barlow and through for a throw-in. Monster tackle made there in the box by Lars Eckenrode. The final moment.
Great tackle there, but you know, again, head up in this situation. Not a lot of places to go. Looks for Barlow again, but in that situation, Barlow gets behind that back line from a tough angle, and he's looking for the help. He's looking around him saying, who's going to support me here? I don't have the angle, but there is space available if people are willing to commit to that run. Comes a little bit late, but perhaps it's a little bit of that, well, one, it's a little bit humid out here, but two, that willingness to not overcommit numbers during a bad time and at least know that you can finish today with a point.
But Heath, you got to think this is a team that's looking at this and saying, we need 3 here. You're about to go on the road for 4 of your final 5, and then you come home and play the second best team in the Eastern Conference, and you are on the verge of a playoff spot. Nothing secure so far for New York Red Bulls 2. Expect to see them try and push for the win. Moreno into the feet of Aguinaga. This pass up the field deflected. Now Moreno on this ball. Excuse me, that was De Vera. Moreno cutting back, looking for a teammate. Gets it to De Vera. Now Lima trying to sneak that one in from Moreno. Tanari now with the long shot. Never got over it.
No, it's not the worst look. Not a ton of other options. Obviously not the best take, but again, not against taking that chance for a player of his quality to have a look there.
Never good when you start with not the worst.
Not the worst.
Ball squirts through. Patterson Sewell now. The second opportunity to clear. De Vera, undersized there, won the header, but a foul goes against him. Excuse me, it'll be a throw-in in favor of Toronto, so no foul called as Matt Serbel had his arms out. Pollitt's back to the feet of Mira. For a guy who's given up 3 goals, Ryan Mira hasn't had a ton to do. Defensively, outside of the goal, it's been a lot better in the second half for New York and Toronto.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we saw the skill level of Mera on his first save, the one that eventually led to the second chance goal there, but hasn't had a ton to do. Be interesting to see how much impact he can have on keeping that back line organized for the final 3, 4, 5 minutes, keeping them engaged. A lot of times for a goalkeeper, it's about constantly talking to that back line, almost annoying them to make sure that they're tuned in and turned on so that there's not a single moment where they let their mentality slip or they're not focused and they get punished, especially in the dying moments of a match.
TFC2 have every player back to defend as Endom and Politz come forward. Just Devera behind the ball right now. It'll be Lima to float it in, headed away by Eckenrode, just in front of Endom. Saved in the corner now. Cutler looking for the cross. Floats it towards the far post. Knocked out to Tenari. It'll be a foul, though, against Endom. Coming back, trying to challenge on that header here. Final 2 minutes of regular time. We'll see how much stoppage time we'll have coming forward. 3-3 in this one. It has been end-to-end stuff here at MSU Soccer Park. Fantastic USL action on ESPN Plus, as we've gotten used to all season. It's been a pleasure calling it for you here in the booth. Coming down towards fall. It's that time of the season, Heath, where everyone's looking at the standings. The players, the coaches, the fans. It starts to get a little bit more stressful in those moments, knowing it's not just this game, it's the whole season riding on these final few minutes.
Yeah, you start to look back and reminisce on moments that you could have affected the situation that you're in, and you really start to tighten in. You like you said, you start to feel that stress, that tension increases. You said here the whole goal was 3 points, but when you're at 1 point, you sort of count your blessings and say, we were down a couple times now. Is it better to just take a deep breath and take that point, or do you go for that 3 points no matter what? And it's because of that stress. It's because of that tension. There's so much on the line as you're looking at the standings every minute of every match and who's playing against who and how many more matches are left, how many more times you have to play against the best teams.
If this result stands, New York Red Bulls 2 would be 1 point behind Bethlehem Steel FC in 7th place with a game in hand. But it would give it a great opportunity to Nashville SC to jump both of them in the standings, and would leave North Carolina FC still alive to jump over New York Red Bulls 2. Of course, New York will travel to North Carolina in 2 weeks. North Carolina's bear down. It'll be a minimum of 4 minutes of stoppage time as the clock goes up here. Is there a winner left in this one? 6 goals scored in just 55 minutes of action between the 12th and 69th minute here. Is there another goal in these final 30 minutes of play for either squad? TFC2 sitting back. They're 2 banks of 4 right now. Good job to force the turnover for Rhea. Putting the pressure on Endom. Mira back into the feet of Hassan Endom, and now up the line. Caller forward for Aguinaga. Lima out wide for Devera. Devera trying to get around the outside. Tackle made by Searbull. And then he lets that one roll out after it takes a touch. Well handled there by the young Brampton native. Lima wins the header there. FC Cincinnati leading in USL, a plus 30 goal differential, sitting on 63 points. It's a dogfight from there on down in the Eastern Conference. And there will be a lot of teams sending thank yous to TFC2 if they can hang on here, as Patterson Sewell able to secure that one for Toronto.
Yeah, it looks like the last 8 to 10 minutes, this is when you're really leaning on your Barlow, your Moreno, to be able to create that spark for you, right? We're starting to see the fatigue The game is slowing down. It is still humid, even though finally by the 80th minute we're starting to feel that breeze come through the stadium. And that's when you start to look to those sparks. It's not about being just a spark the moment you come on or in the big moments. It's about keeping that energy high, and it seems like it's fallen a little bit flat from both sides here. Almost a contentment to leave here with a point. And, again, that's where you want to say, Mondo, create a moment of magic for us. Barlow, create a moment of magic for us. Make something happen. Be busy. Use that last bit of energy to create that, I guess, moment of brilliance and leave here with 3 points.
And Dom there trying to break the lines right up the middle. No one on New York anticipating that one as we enter what looks like it'll be the final minute of action here. Honestly, anything that happens here wouldn't surprise you. It's been a wild 3-3 affair between these two teams. TFC2 took a 1-0 lead in the first game of the season, lost 2-1 to New York Red Bulls 2. They've been ahead twice so far today. Haven't been able to hang on. Red Bulls 2 took the early lead. Liam Frazier and Jordan Hamilton pushing that one forward, but Faria offside. And this could be the final chance here for New York to get some bodies forward. Knocking it around the back. They have to, at some point, pump this ball forward. Try and find at least a half chance. Tavera looking down the line from Moreno, who's pushed off the ball. Kubel does just enough. It'll roll out for a goal kick, and that'll be it. Fireworks from the first minute to the last here at MSU Soccer Park. Heath, a 3-3 thriller. What's your final thought on this one?
Look, obviously we talked from the very start to the finish that this was a must-win game for the New York Red Bulls 2, but leaving here, fighting back into games, taking the gifts that the game gives you to stay in it and leave here with a point, I think is fair. Obviously the rest of the league is going to look to TFC2 and say thank you for taking 2 points from arguably one of the best teams in the league on paper. So overall, I think it's fair, but a few moments of magic could have changed this into 3 points for Red Bulls 2.
There was a fun one for New York Red Bulls 2 and Toronto FC 2. TFC 2 still yet to knock off their Eastern Conference rivals, but they're able to at least ruin their night, if not their season here. We'll be back in just a moment with all your match highlights and post-game thoughts here on ESPN+.
With MSG Go, the game goes where you go. So you can watch live Red Bulls games anywhere you want. It's free and easy because if you get MSG, you get MSG Go. Watch your favorite team wherever you are with MSG Go, presented by Lexus. Download it for free where you get your apps.
One of the nation's leading heart programs. A shared sense of compassion, innovation, and expertise. Perfectly orchestrated so your world never misses a beat. Hackensack Meridian Health. Life years ahead.
An interesting night for New York Red Bulls 2 and TFC 2. New York looking for what they thought was going to be a big 3 points. A 3-3 draw, though, here at MSU Soccer Park. David Gotts and Heath Pierce on the call for you on ESPN+. Let's take a look at the highlights, Heath. There were a lot of them in this one.
Absolutely, and it started very, very well for the New York Red Bulls 2. Very attack-minded, very New York Red Bull-esque. And this is a great ball there, first one. And then Jordan Hamilton coming back, cuts that ball across. A very similar run to Anatol Bang's first goal, but again, great finishes, great looks. really set the tempo for the game. And this deflection here, great save from Ryan Merritt to get up. And then again, that kind of understanding of where you are on the goal is always hard when you leave your feet. He slots it to that near post. And again, puts them back ahead in a game that's a must-win situation.
Tim Kubel, his first goal of his professional career for Toronto, and then Andreas Ivan comes back with the answer.
Look, he's got that kind of quality. We all know that, and he's able to pick that spot on the goal, put it to that back post. But then something magical happens here, right? Which is getting Jordan Hamilton, allowing him this much time and space to get that ball onto his left foot. But more importantly, that turn, that touch is top quality in my book, and that's what sets that whole thing up. It's a moment, it's a special moment of magic that leads to that goal.
Big play there from Matt Serbel to set up Hamilton, and then a gift here from Patterson Sewell as Brian White gets his 9th goal of the year.
Yeah, there was some controversy on this play. It looks like maybe Brian White snuck under him there when he went to punch, only had one hand to punch, but again, we were just giving him some love for that ability to kind of bounce back into the game and make a good save, which led to that, and then kind of fall short, which is unfortunate, but ultimately this leads to a 3-3, 1 point for each.
36 shots between these two teams, 15 on goal. New York Red Bulls 2 outpossess, outshoot, but Heath, they just couldn't find that breakthrough. And the final 10-15 minutes, TFC2 really killed this game off.
Yeah, just the momentum really died out there. And again, you look to your subs in those situations, and again, a compliment to the bench of the Red Bulls too. They had so much quality. They weren't able to pull something off in that moment, but Toronto FC2 were just so clever and smart to sit back, bring the pressure, and nobody could really break down those barriers.
TFC2 get a big draw, maybe ruin New York Red Bulls 2 playoff hopes. We'll see over the next few weeks. New York Red Bulls 2, a 4-game road trip coming up before they return home for the last game of the season, October 14th, against the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. TFC2 go on the road to face league-leading FC Cincinnati. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. I hope you enjoyed this game. For myself, David Goss, Heath Pierce, and everyone along our production, have a great night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.